Evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Man of Thought, aka the Villain of Truth, aka the Black Panther of Nigeria. Today tends to be, what's today's date? Today tends to be 17th August 2024, and when Saturday, this is weekend. It has been so busy for me ever since yesterday because we had certain things we had to work on. Um, Today I will be discussing about investing in mindfulness for daily life, as today tends to be the weekend where people are just trying to relax themselves. Some people will be going to parties. We celebrated our own party today, and not quite long I had some program with my wife. I know whenever people are done, you can always visit the episode where me and my wife will discuss extensively on certain issues regarding marriage. The first minute, we were just joking around, but I think after 15 minutes into the video, we started discussing more intense into the whole subject. With that being said, if you're just joining me, welcome to the Man of Thought once again. I know today might be different because people most likely would have been online around 5, according to the algorithm. But that wouldn't stop me from the discussion I'll be having today regarding relaxation and mindfulness. And I would love people to join me so we can actually think about this and we can have great discussion on it. If you're a chance, I would appreciate everyone who is going to be participating in today's conversation. So thank you all for joining. Thanks to those, I will be giving few minutes, maybe 2 minutes or so, or 3 minutes to see those who are going to be joining me live before we actually dive into today's discussion. So, welcome once more. Welcome to the Man of Thought. Thank you all for joining. Um, how is your weekend? Or how was your weekend? I think that should be the right question. How was your weekend? Or how did your week actually go? Because now we want to dive into relaxation and mindfulness. We are talking about investing in mindfulness for daily life. And I understand that for those who have been working throughout the week might most likely be stressful to them. If you want to be participating in today's conversation, if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe to the channel. While we dive into today's conversation, everyone's comment is highly welcome, and every chat is being read as much as it follows up with the subject we are actually discussing. Welcome, everyone. First of all, before we actually dive, while I await few people to join me live, tomorrow we are going to be discussing about few things by maybe 5:30 or 7 p.m. or 9 p.m. I don't know, but I all I can say is we are going to be putting out a time tomorrow evening. I'll be having a program in the morning, very early tomorrow morning, African time by 8:30, 9. I should be having an episode with people where I call it Sunday service. I call it my own Sunday service, where we discuss things about the Bible. We talk about things about religion, spirituality. But also tomorrow evening, we are going to be having a discussion with no one else but the enlightened one by God's grace. Today, we should have been having a topic with a real estate person, but unfortunately, an emergency stuff came up, maybe due to certain challenges. And I said, okay, let us postpone it till probably next week, or maybe we'll fix another time for the interview. With that being said, the enlightened one will be joining us tomorrow by God's grace, and we are going to be talking about tradition, culture, religion, and all kinds of stuff. So this night, I want to actually interact with my audience to ask you, how did your week actually go before we fully dive into the subject? Because first of all, I think I'll be focusing on exploring simple mindfulness exercises that can be integrated into daily lives or activities. Secondly, today we are going to be discussing about the power of visualization. Thirdly, we are going to be talking about evening routines for better sleep. Fourthly, we might talk about role of nature in mindfulness. Fifth, we are going to talk about journaling for mindfulness. And the last one, we are going to be talking about music and sound. Probably you might call it therapy or the rest of it. So thank you everyone for joining. Please, I would like us to have about 2 or 3 likes before we proceed on today's conversation. I would appreciate it if you double tap your screen to show like. Show like. I want to see the like button. The one that is showing is 0. I want to see at least 2, 3 likes for us to participate. How is your week going? Please do this while we move into the subject. We have 12 people joining me live right now. So your chat would all be read. Double tap your screen to show like so we can proceed on today's conversation. I'm awaiting. I have 1 like, 2 to go. We need 2 to go, please. I'm awaiting you guys. Let's just have extra 2 likes so we can proceed in today's conversation. Thank you. Yeah. 10 people are live right now. Double tap your screen. Show some likes. Show me likes to boost the algorithm so it can support the message that we are putting out. I only have 1 person who has showed like. Let somebody else or 2 people just double tap their screen and show like so we can continue in the conversation. If you have anything you want to be adding up to our conversation, maybe chat or message or opinions or advice, you're absolutely welcome. We have 2, 1 more to go. And we are going to be diving into the subject. 1 more to go. We are definitely going to be diving into the subject. Yeah. We just need 1 more like, and so we dive into today's conversation. Don't take our time. Ẹ jọ̀ọ́, Olúwa ni mo fi ń bẹ̀ yín. I'm begging you in the name of God. Don't let it to be difficult. Don't be selfish. Those who are selfish are the ones who actually do selfish. That means you do certain things. I wanted to say something, but I just held myself like, oh, I might say something like this, and certain people might feel the other way. We have 18 people joining us right now on live. I would appreciate 1 more like. Double tap your screen, let someone show love. And you can ask any questions. You can chat while we continue today's conversation. 2 people has already shown that they are interested in today's conversation, and so they've already double tap and they show 2 likes. So it's just remaining 1 person for us to continue. Kilode, do not delay the people of God. I did not tell you people to do super chats. I haven't asked for super chat, super sticker, super whatever. I asked for you to double tap your screen and show likes. Is it not better you hear what I have to say than for you to just keep wasting your data and you don't want to show love? Why are you so greedy? Somebody should bail us out. We need one more like for us to continue today's conversation. Ẹ jọ̀ọ́, Olúwa la fi ń bẹ̀ yín. I'm waiting. We've spent almost 10 minutes right now. These are 20 people are joining us right now on live. And we need one more like on this video. Oh, finally, God has sent someone to do that. That's just a minor criteria. Thank you very much for those who actually double click their screen to show me like. I don't know why few people find it difficult sometimes, but I think that not everyone who is on live actually knows how to show like, because sometimes it's kind of complicated. So thank you all for joining me this weekend. Today we are going to be talking about investing in mindfulness for daily life. By tomorrow morning, I'm going to be talking about a Sunday service on beliefs, just naturally what I do every Sunday morning. And by evening, the enlightened one, by God's grace, is going to be joining me, and we are going to be discussing about spirituality, culture, and traditions. But this night, I just want us to focus on this particular relaxation of mind and few things, but I want us to actually rub our minds. Now, for those of you who have seen me or who has been with me for a while, you might understand that whatever I do sometimes when I show you some of my meditation practice, I try to breathe. Breath is one of my biggest way of meditation. And the reason is simply because out of many things that I have tested in my life, including prayer, including fasting, including dancing, including every other part, one of the things that has always worked is the idea of breath. Prayers work, every other thing work. I know they do, but I can tell you for a fact that breath, when I breathe, or when you say you have your breath, breath is a thing in my experience that makes me feel or dive into the spiritual path easily. I'm not saying it's the same thing for everyone. I'm saying that it's something that is worth practicing. Now, a lot of people during the week would most likely have experienced a lot of stress. Certain individuals might not even be aware that they are under stress, why they even watch their phone, why they are even going through things in life or the rest of it. It is not immediately you are being stressful that your brain will tell you you are stressful. A lot of times, subconsciously, we start acting in a stressful way, and we don't even know that we are stressed. Sometimes you can snap easily and you start asking yourself, I was not supposed to get angry the way I got angry. I wasn't supposed to respond to that person the way I responded to that person. I should have been a little bit patient. What got me angry? Most times you might say it's consciousness. Most times you might say I wasn't patient enough. But majority of the time, if you pay attention to it, you might realize that it's simply because you are under pressure, and that pressure has actually stressed you subconsciously. So certain individuals will make decisions to pray, and I'm not against those who decide to pray. Certain people might decide to sing praises. I am not against those who decide to sing praises, because there are different paths to everyone's liberation, or for everyone to be able to feel the spiritual part to them. But there was a significant reason, or an important reason, why I chose breath. I can breathe right now, and I can show you some powers behind breath work. This is not about me just talking about meditation. I would explain it before I can tell you if there's anything we might be able to practicalize while we have today's conversation. I would like you to look into it. Now, trust me, when I wear this bead, I wear it simply because it only indicates the African culture. It has nothing else to do with it. I have nothing to do, maybe I'm so traditional in any way, but I understand the importance of tradition. When I put cap this way, I just want to be the way I like to be. But most importantly, it is who you are within yourself that actually matters in the real world. And your outside part of you should just be an expression of who you are. The reason why I feel comfortable to come to you guys to talk the way I feel like I should express myself is simply because in certain ways I am at ease with myself. I am not in a rush to show you a perception of me that is not real or that is not true. Every time I put myself on YouTube live stream, I am actually showing you the expression of myself. And I am not ashamed of that identity of who I am simply because I am at peace within myself. I can have this episode with you without even putting on clothes. Now, what do I mean when I talk about breath work initially? Breath work for me has been a way to relieve stress. And now I will give you a little bit, maybe just a little narration about breath work. When I studied breath work earlier, or when I began to experience breath work, I saw it on a TV channel. I was watching an American movie, and then the lady was driving a car, and I think she was under pressure. I've forgotten the narration of the story of that movie. And then the lady stopped her car and she was breathing. Breathe, breathe, breathe. And as an African man, you know what I said in my heart? I said, garbage in, garbage out. So is this another new technique? I can't remember the year, but I think it will be in the early 2000s. It didn't take long time. I started hearing the word yoga, yogi, and all those kind of stuff. And I'm like, oh God, when is all this stuff is going to end? People are just looking for spiritual, because for me at that particular time in my life, I have tested different things on religion and the rest of it. And I've realized certain things in my own perception that most religious people I was seeing or I was associating with, most of them are not truthful. So I was seeking for something else. And then I realized that what I was seeking for was something like a spiritual path. Maybe I was having certain experiences which I knew I was, but I was actually searching for a spiritual path. And I felt something at some point that if I can connect to something, I should be able to get to the divine within me. I don't know how I knew those stuff. But then when I saw all this breath work and the rest of it, I felt it was just another gamble. And then slowly I begin to dive into it. I will come out maybe after 3 months, I practice it, then I stop it. It doesn't make any sense to me. But one thing I was able to get at some point is that most of the practices or the things you test in life is not basically because you just want to adopt it, but it's because you want to have the knowledge about it so you can use it when it is necessary. When it is necessary. And then, when I am under pressure in my life, I realize that when I pray to God, according to the religious perspective of how I view things, when I pray to God, it doesn't reduce the pressure. My expectation is still very high. I still want things to go in my own way. And you see, the way to put a pressure upon yourself is to have an expectation in life. And what is the purpose of prayer? The purpose of prayer is to make sure that your expectation is being fulfilled. So when you are in a place, for example, and you go for a job interview and you are sitting and maybe you are done with your interview or you want to start the interview, you begin to pray. Why? You want to be employed. So you're praying to God to help you so that you can get the job. And then as I move slowly into life, I realized that there's a spiritual part in life. And when I realized there's a spiritual part in life, I saw when I begin to get a little bit closer into spirituality, I saw that religion was not teaching me spirituality, but was teaching me expectation, was teaching me miracle. Every miracle people expect, even miracle itself, is expectation. Prayer itself is an expectation. Tell me who on the surface of this earth prays without expecting something from the divine. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying prayer is wrong. I am saying that prayers is an expectation for something. And I realize every time I demand things from the divinity or from God or from the universe, I am actually letting the universe know that I lack this thing and I want the universe to give it to me. But as slowly when I dove into the spiritual part, I realized that everything that is in the universe is actually within me. I'm just trying to cut the story short. And then as it became clearer after a period of time that everything that exists in the universe that I need as a human being is actually dwelling inside of me, at those moments, I stopped praying. If you're a religious believer, you can continue to pray. I'm not asking you not to pray. I'm speaking about my experience. And I saw that there was a time I went for a jobs interview. And when I was going for the job interview, after when I began to tune more into my spiritual path, I was just going to the job interview to see if they are going to employ me. And then it came to a point where I was being interviewed. And while I was being asked questions, I saw that that's not what I want. I never needed the job. I saw how I was supposed to be in control. And then the job was given to me, but I never worked there anymore. Now, the job was to pay me about 25,000 naira at that time. I can't remember exactly the year, maybe 2014 or 2013. The job was supposed to pay me 25,000 naira a year. Sorry, a month, 25,000 naira a month. But when I was being interviewed and I was given the job, then I looked at it and I was like, what do I really want? And what do I need? They are two different things. Now, when it comes to investment, it is always important to invest in what you would need in life. But in terms of spirituality, it is important you only focus on what you want. That means what you want for your life, the reflection of your life, what you want your life to reflect as, not really what you did. So when I was sitting down in the position of interview, I realized I wanted to be the one who would start asking people for interview or to interview people. I shouldn't be the one that should be interviewed. But most people, for example, one of the things that I knew about my religious practice was to tell me that I need to pray to God for me to get the job if I want to go get a job. And so I saw that the religious practice gave me certain kind of mentality. You see, until you step out of something, you can never know what kind of bondage you are in. The only reason why a lot of people who go to prison want to step out of prison is because they've experienced the world. When you have been in the free world and you have been outside the world, enjoying the world, going to the club, going to parties, carrying the girls and having all those things, when you find yourself in prison, you become very miserable. But trust me, I know people who are in the prison in Africa, in many places, that if you free them, they will find all means to come back to the prison. It is a two mentality thing. There are people at Ikoyi prison when I was jailed for 2 months, 14 days. I saw that there are people who have been in prison for over 15 years. And when the government released these people, they just find somewhere around that vicinity and commit a crime to make sure that the government bring them back to the prison. So what do I mean by that statement? If you have been captured by religion and you have not taken a step out of religion, taking a step back out of your religious belief or your religious sentiment, there is nothing people say about spiritual paths that makes sense to you except your belief in the religion. And that's why a lot of people are being held captive. The captivity of the Africans is in their belief system. And one of the reasons why Africa is still where it is basically on their religious belief. I'm not saying religious belief is just the total combination of all the problem. I'm saying majority of the time. Sometimes I ask myself a question. Why are there no award for those who colonize? Like the people who colonize Africa, they need to be given an award every single month, because the reflection of what they've done still continues in the heart of people. Like, I ask myself a question. How do they know that if we give certain individuals a religion, these people would never get out of that trap? If we ban them with chain, they will find a way to fight it. If you hold them with gun, they will find a way to defeat it. But give them a religion. They want to believe in something. Give them something to believe in, and that is it. And ever since they throw it into our culture and traditions as people, we have never remained the same. We are the same, but have never remained the same in a sense that we have always looked at one thing on a particular level, and it has transcended itself into the next generation. That for people to even have a doubt and say, I have to question what I decide I believe in due to the answers of my life. Should I question what I believe? It is difficult for a lot of people to do, because then they become lost. So where am I actually going? When I begin to dive into my spiritual path, I begin to realize that there are things that I want, and the things I want, I already had them. What you need, you don't have it. You can have what you want, but what you need, you have to pursue. You have to ask for it. It is missing inside of you. And then I realized that my religious belief was making me go for a job interview, and I keep praying to God for them to give me a job interview. But when I drove from religious belief into my spiritual path, I realized I never wanted the job in the first place. I was only experiencing how to become a boss. That is the difference of what spirituality can do for you versus what religion would do for you. Religion will say, ask God to help you so you get the job. Now, I'm not saying there are no exceptions to the rules, that those who actually have bigger visions, but I'm just saying it was just like this, easy, when I move into the spiritual path. Now, why do I say that I was able to experience a different thing from the spiritual part of me? Now, this is what happened. Whenever previously, before that particular day, whenever I was when I was already practicing my spiritual path, whenever I wasn't given the job, what I did was I tried to breathe. I just move out of that office and I stay somewhere and I breathe in deep about 10, 15 times. And what I realized after that breath, if you can even practice it after, as I speak to you will feel some chemical rush within your body system. And what you feel is, this does not define me. I am bigger than almost everything around me right now. The only thing that is making me engage myself and feel stressed about this particular situation is because of my need. But when your spiritual path shows that you are part of everything, then it's like, if I am part of everything on universe, the question that rises within you is, what do I want? What do I want to manifest? Not how much I need the job. Just so easy. And then I begin to, you know what I did? I decided not to go after a job. The 25,000 naira, and then I went into barbing. I saw that I can find a path that I can start slowly and I can build myself, which is I started a barbing salon. And in the barbing salon, I was making the money that could take care of me little by little. And I'm like, now I can see I am in control of my life, not that I am going to worship an individual. Thank you very much, Point Fire from Toronto. Thank you very much. And then I started being in control of my life, because one of the things that spirituality does for you is that it gives you control of how you want your life to go. The idea of the religion is, how do God want your life to go? The idea of spirituality is, how do you want your life to go? The difference is that you are very conscious of what you want in your life that can be beneficial to you and to other people, because you realize that you are part of everyone. In the idea of spirituality, there is no individuality. In the idea of religion, salvation, it is individual journey. I hope you are getting it. So when you pray to God, it is about you praying for something or praying for somebody. In the idea of spirituality, it is not about you praying for something or praying for somebody or praying for yourself. It is you bringing everything, because you know you are part of existence with everything in the universe at the same time, simultaneously. So you are making a conscious decision of how you want your life to go. Wishing you continued success and prosperity, sir. Thank you. Points 5. And then I had control of my life. And then this is what I started noticing. What I began to notice as I made a decision that I was never going to have any interview. That means I'm going to have any job interview. I realized one thing after a period of time. Sometimes things are going smoothly. Sometimes things don't go my way. And I'm like, even though I'm in the spiritual part, I know things don't really go my way. What could be the issue? Then I realized certain principle, that it's about the season. And despite the fact you're in the spiritual path, you have to be conscious. And I was aware that there's a season for everything in life. Trust me, you might read it. It is easy for people to open their scripture to study the Bible effectively and yet do not understand it, or even if they do understand what it says, yet they can't apply it. You know why? When the situations of life rises beyond their expectation, all they do is they tune into prayer, even when the Bible has already told them that there's a season for everything. Spirituality broadens your mind to a different level. And so what I was able to do was I became at peace of every season I find myself. Throw me into the lake of fire, I'm at peace. My body might respond, but within my heart, I'm at peace with myself. Put me in jail. Till date, the people who actually threw me in jail, it was the worst mistake they ever made. Because every of their expectation, they saw smiles on my face without even thinking of vengeance on anything. Because spirituality taught me one thing, that there's time and season for everything. But if you are connected to yourself, to the universe, you are part of the universe, you are conscious that you are part of the universe, and you can always take yourself from the physical vessel, which is the body, and you can associate yourself with the universe, you would never feel alone. It is just a moment in your life, and those moments will pass away. And that is where relaxation and peace actually lies. Knowing that everything is well, everything is okay, even regardless of the fact that things look troubled. And some people would say it is similar to what the religious people preach. The question is, look at the believers of that same preaching and look at their lifestyle towards the decisions or towards situations that are very troublesome, and see their response to it compared to those who are actually spiritually inclined or very conscious of themselves. There is a difference. So where am I diving to? I was able to discover my own spiritual path through many things. Now, meditation could be part of it and the rest of it. But I started with the breath. And the breath was what I actually despised the first time I started seeing it. You know, honestly, I would say when I was a child, there was something that I kind of dislike sometimes when I see, maybe I was studying few things about history, and I was like, when I see certain things that Western people do, I'll be like, are they trying to sell us another idea? But as I start driving deeper into spiritual parts, I then realized that meditative practice did not even come from the Western culture. It came from India. Then I realized, and when I tell people this, some of them will ask me, where did Jesus go? And the rest of it. Well, if you know about biblical sin, you will definitely know that Jesus actually went to India at the age of 27. When you look at the Anunnaki and you make certain research. And then you saw in the scripture that Jesus was actually meditating in many situations and the rest of it. After Jesus went to Egypt to study the Egyptian mystery and the rest of it. And then I tell people that when you hear the Lord's Prayer and you say, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, that prayer was actually from Egypt. It wasn't Jesus who invented it. Most religious people get angry. Why are you diminishing Jesus? I'm just like, drop the Bible and dive deeper. Drop the 66 book and dive deeper. And then you realize it's different. But where am I actually diving to? I realized one thing also, that my soul, my life was based off only one thing. One thing defines every single one of us. Who watch me, who agree with me, who disagree with me. Only one thing make us all to be conscious. And that thing is called the breath. Nothing else. This is why I think that breath work is one of the most powerful experience you can actually have. Now you might have to go into more conscious part and the rest of it. But I would tell you for a fact, the only thing, maybe you agree with me or you disagree with me, one thing that is the principle that makes every one of us become a vessel of a soul is our breath work. Our breath. Alistair Bond says, the Bible is the truth. The world can make many lies and they can be very believable sometimes. Not hating, just saying my opinion. Your opinions are valid. Trust me, I say these things every single time. The man who says there's God and the man who says there's no God, both of them are in the same boat. They are only paddling to different directions. One might be a seeker of the truth and one might be a believer. A believer does not make research. A believer has come to a conclusion. Belief in a dictionary is mental acceptance. A seeker is the only person who has the possibility to see more beyond what he has seen. When Jesus died and he resurrected and he appeared, when his disciples saw him, they didn't believe it was Jesus. There was one of them who said, let me confirm. And then he said, doubting Thomas. And then he said, bring your hand, let me see. One person you cannot deceive out of all of them is the one that put his hand in the fingers of Jesus to see that it was actually nailed. Yes, this was the same Jesus. So that is what a seeker means. Most problem of most believers is that believers are not meant to doubt. How can you improve if you cannot question? Can you improve when you believe something? Can you get more evidence when you already believe? Imagine I take you to court and I say this person is a thief. And the judge look at the face of the person and he say, I believe you're telling the truth. How many people will be in prison by now? When God sent Moses to the land of Egypt, Moses asked, God, how will I tell Pharaoh? Who will I say sent me? He didn't match like Fela would sing, zombie, oh zombie. No, he didn't just go. How will I know that you are the one who sent me? God says, put a rod on the floor, and he put it and it turned into snake. He said, who will I tell Pharaoh that sent me? And God said, I am that I am. He didn't say, God, I believe you. Should I go to Egypt? And God said, yes. And he just started marching. What? His case would have looked like John the Baptist, whose head was bearded, who was beheaded. Bible says, my people perish for lack of knowledge. When you believe, how can you seek? You can't seek when you believe. When you believe, you accept. And I'm not also going against your religious belief. I'm saying I came from it. When you experience two sides of the world, you have more information from both sides of the world. For example, let me say I travel to US or UK and I live in Nigeria. And somebody in Nigeria is so convinced and is saying, oh, this is how the UK is. And the person has never been there, but I've been watching YouTube and I've been watching the TV and the rest of it. I that have been in those three places, I will tell him that I have more information than all these things you're saying. Yes, you might be convinced. Yes, you might believe. Yes, you might show me Google. You might even read it from Google. But I, who have experienced it, you can't tell me otherwise. What I tell you is the truth. Let me go back to what he says. He says that you can do research and find stuff to make your biblical faith stronger, but if that research is not biblical based, then it is most likely wrong. Believers are still humans. They doubt sometimes too. Well, I wouldn't want to go into belief because I am not to challenge anybody's belief. I was talking about spiritual part. I wasn't talking about religion. Religion is different. Religion is an institution. Spirituality is not an institution. I agree with what you're saying, though you say you can do research and find stuff to make your biblical faith stronger. That means you want to advance more in the belief. I agree with you. You want to be so sure. Give me more evidence. But I think that when you believe, if you actually understand what belief is, there is no point of you doubting. But what you were able to use was when you were able to say that we are humans, we might doubt sometimes. So if you can doubt sometimes, then the question is, did you truly believe, or did you have to believe because it was convenient for you? I have faith in God. I do not believe in any religion. I look at every religion like this. The reason why I don't believe in any religion is I don't believe in the people who speak. I don't believe everything I read. I question everything I read. And trust me, not everything that necessarily have to make logical sense to you for it to be true. But the reality is that if your logical mind cannot work, the ability to tap into the spiritual path, because every knowledge is associated with spirituality. If your spiritual path cannot be attached to whatever you read, or cannot debunk whatever you have read, even if it doesn't make logical sense, but if it cannot attach with your spiritual being, then you have a lot of things to do. With that being said, when I spoke about spirituality, I spoke about breath work. There are different paths to spirituality. Religion can also be a path to spirituality. Now, let me even get that straight. Religion can be a path to spirituality. The problem is, how often does the institution help you to get to that spiritual path? I believe this. We have hands like every other person. You have eyes like every other person. You have legs like every other person. Some people know some ways that you don't know. But the reality is this. If you can know the practice that can lead you gradually to what you actually want to know, and your physical ability is complete and you can utilize it. If I would tell you that the way for you to go to Google or for you to search information, you have to go and get a desktop system to search for information, or through your phone, you can search for information. And the desktop, you have to get UPS and the rest of it. You need to buy power bank. You have to put on the generator, or there have to be electricity for you to power it on. You have to buy router and internet and the rest of it. And through your phone, You can just get to it without necessarily going through the desktop system. Which one would you prefer? Some people will tell you the only way for you to get to spiritual path is for you to believe in religion, and then you have to start from Genesis to Revelation, from this to this. You have to read, and then the pastor begins to indoctrinate. You have to pay your offering, you have to sacrifice, you have to give to the poor, you have to go out and preach, and the rest of it. Oh, blood of God. And I can just come and I tell you that you have to keep seeking for the truth. Seeking for the truth, there are little practices you have to do. And this is one of the things I would say about spirituality. The idea of spirituality is to relieve and to connect you back to the divine within you. Some people would say God is in heaven. And some people would argue that God is within. Now, if God is above or God is within, anyone you can connect to that can give you relief and the peace of your existence, which one would you fall for? Now, what I can say is this. I do not know everything to say that God is above or God is within. But what I can say is this. When you can go within yourself, you can always be at peace with life. You can always connect to the spiritual path. You can broaden your understanding. And because you can, you can only try it to see for yourself. So what I said earlier was that religion, belief helped me to learn to pray and seek and, is it seek or believe and pray and ask and demand from God. And the spiritual part shows me the spirit of abundance within. And when I realized the abundance within, I realized that the only thing I had to do was to ask myself, what do I want for myself? And I have to reflect it. Some seed in life, you have to plant them and they would reflect with time. And so I chose spiritual path, even though I understand many things about the religious belief. Valerie Quintero, I still know you. I never forgot you. Alyssa Bond says he is both. We have the Holy Spirit in us and he is also in heaven. Okay. There are certain believers who their brain is broad a little bit and they know some stuff. So trust me, we are not conflicting ourselves on, I don't want to conflict conversation on anything. I'm not against believers because trust me, I say this sometimes. When I was in jail, I would see some pastors then, because in every jail, in every section, you would always find there are always pastors and this that would always pray in the morning, pray in the night, pray in the morning, pray in the night. And then they will preach and preach and preach. And whenever they are done preaching, the same boys will take Colorado. The guys who smoke, the moment the pastor is done with the preaching, they start smoking. And these same people were the one clapping their hands and the rest of it. I was able, during the time when I was in jail, I was able to at least stop 3 people during the time I was in jail from smoking. 3. But majority of the people who have been praying and preaching and the rest of it, they were unable to do it. So a lot of people, when I begin to quote things from the Bible and I begin to tell them what the meaning of this particular passage of Bible that they read, this is what it actually means and the rest of it, then people started gravitating towards me and they were like, the way I can dive into the scripture, they will call it part of the scripture because the Bible is not totally the scripture. It is a Bible. The scripture was stopped at Malachi. It did not have the New Testament. And that was the scroll that the Israelites were using and Judaism and Jews are using. So when I gave them those interpretations, they were like, can you please start teaching every single one of us rather than this pastors who are preaching and we don't really understand. Maybe they are not compassionate about what they are saying. Maybe they are just too used to say so many things they say. They say, why can't you come there? I would lie down on the bed, and some of them, in fact, it got to a point. There were people who were pastors in in jail, and because they realized that I was talking to people, and people would come to my bed and sit to listen to what I have to say. When they were preaching, they begin to say things indirectly for me to know. And they say, some people, they know how to interpret God's word, but they want to think that they are special and the rest of it and all of that. And I was like, you should focus on the word of God that you have with these people. Why are you trying to get at me? But after a period of time, they saw I wasn't responding to anything they had to say. And then one day they came to me and they asked me, why have I not made decision to come to the altar to preach? I told them, I said, number one, I was not called by God to come and preach. I never heard the voice of God. So I wouldn't claim I heard the voice of God. And I said, secondly, you do not ask a professor to teach a kindergarten. A professor can only teach someone who is in the university. You must be in a level of understanding to be able to comprehend the statements that comes out of my mouth. If I preach to these people, I'm like a professor teaching a kindergarten. The distance is just so much. They would not be able to comprehend. So sometimes, even when Jesus was speaking, he spoke in parables, and a lot of people do not understand the parables. He was trying to liberate people to be able to move within themselves and tap into what God has bestowed as a gift into everyone. But I don't even think till Jesus went, a lot of people, or till Jesus ascended, a lot of people were able to grasp into it. Most people don't. And it's not their fault. Professor cannot teach. It's so nice here. It's a good one. So with that being said, one of the things that make every single one of us, and this is what I can say, we can debate God, we can debate everything on earth. But one thing we cannot debate is our breath. But I want to tell you the power of your breath. The power of your breath is that part of your soul is attached to your breath. Bye, Valerie Quintero. Have a great night or have a great day. This is from Africa, so that's why I say have a great night, but have a great day ahead. Now, one thing about your breath that people underestimate, people think that the breath that comes out of their nose or that they breathe in and they breathe out is just a breath to keep their body alive. But a lot of people remove the facts in their life to understand that your breath and your words that come out of your mouth are even simultaneously the same. And the words that come out of your mouth are powerful. If I can say anything out of my mouth that can provoke someone from another place, and I can breathe at the same time, how far can I talk without my breath? And are my words also visible? So a lot of people, if you are spiritually inclined, you would realize that there's a correlation, if not the same. I use the word correlation, if not the same, with the breath and the words, because words come with sound, but breath does not come with sound. It only gives life to revive life. Now, there's a power in this particular exercise, and that power is to let you understand this. The breath you breathe and the breath I breathe are all the same breath. If you don't understand in the physical world and you pray and you ask for things, if you understand from the spiritual sense that the breath you breathe, that means if I put you in this room, nobody can say this breath is my breath, and I cannot say this breath is my own breath, that simply indicates that we are one. The universe is one. The only difference is that I have been a vessel who have been able to have certain particular kind of soul, a little bit of knowledge, a little accumulation of body, fats, and whatever, religious belief, all these things, either you believe in God, you don't believe in God, all these things fall under identity. You are only identifying yourself to something. If you are the hair has no identity. So the hair do not select who do I go into his nose and who do I not go into his nose, except he that the body can no more take the hair. When the vessel is damaged, then the hair cannot go into it and revive the body. So when I talk about spirituality, spirituality does not select. When you talk about religion, someone might say, I believe in Christianity. Someone might say, I believe in Muslim. Some of them will say, I am in Hinduism. So you say all kinds of things. All this boils down under identity. And whenever you are under identity, you have only limited information with you. If Christians knew that Jesus did not choose any specific religion, I wonder what choice they would have made. Jesus went to Egypt, he studied the Egyptian mystery. Jesus went to Tibet, he studied the healing power. Jesus went to India, he learned a little bit of meditation. And Jesus came back when he was 30, from 12 to the age of 30. When he came back, he went to synagogue. It wasn't specific. He was gathering every knowledge. And so when Jesus speak, Jesus was so high in the manner because of the consciousness within him that a lot of people cannot comprehend what he says. But when religion is being established after the ascension of Christ, a lot of people begin to culture themselves into the same identity. And remember, Jesus was talking about the Pharisees and the Sadducees. And when Jesus was talking about the Pharisees and the Sadducees, he was telling them, you guys are holding into our culture and tradition and the religious belief that was given to you by Moses, the 10 Commandments. And this is making you guys to see things in a small microscope. You can't see beyond that. I am telling you, if you can tap into the spiritual path. That's why when you're saying, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not lie, thou shalt not this, thou shalt not that. He said, I haven't come to change anything. But here's what I will say. Love your neighbor as you love thyself. He was speaking on a different level. They can't comprehend it. That means if I love my neighbor as I love myself, what he first of all said, Jesus said, love your neighbor as you love thyself. A lot of people think it means my duty is to love my neighbor. No. What Jesus was saying is love thyself. That means if you love yourself, you would know how to love somebody else. But many people will tell you now that they say, love your neighbor as you love yourself. If you love yourself, how many bottles of alcohol will you pour into your mouth? If you love yourself and you understand that there are children who depend on you, your wife depend on you, your family depend on you, how many drugs will you abuse? You haven't loved yourself. How can you love somebody else? It is the difference between the spiritual learning and the religious learning. Because the religious will follow the text and cannot explore beyond what is being written. So despite what was written through Moses, Jesus was speaking on a different level, even if he meant the same thing, but he was trying to broaden their consciousness, but they cannot go beyond that level that they are in. In a nutshell, I was talking about spirituality and I was saying that one of the biggest things every man have, you cannot debate it, is your breath. You cannot get angry right now and decide not to breathe. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. But it is a magical power. If you're stressed and you want to take stress out of your body, all you have to do is to breathe in and breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in. The problem of the society is that we have told people how to breathe. I can remember at some point, there was a time when I walked, they tell me how to walk, that I have to walk this way. Jordan B. Peterson would tell you to raise your shoulders back and the rest of it. When you want to sleep, they tell you how to sleep, not to snore. When you want to breathe and you breathe deep and they say you are making noise. But when you look at animals, most animals know how to do these things better than human beings. Dogs will play, dogs will jump around, dogs will do a lot of things, but dogs get to a particular time in their life every single day when the sun is shining. Let me do this, sorry. When the sun is shining, you see dogs begin to breathe with their mouth, not with their nose. And you see dogs doing they are capturing more oxygen to themselves and they are relieving themselves of certain stress. How many human beings have practiced to understand that you can actually do that to actually relieve stress from your body? How many people know how to take breath from their stomach to their head and take it back and the rest of it? Now, the idea behind all these things that I'm talking about, you can do it to relieve stress. Yes. You can do it to relieve anxiety. Yes. But that doesn't mean because you can relieve yourself from stress and relieve yourself from anxiety, that simply means you are on a spiritual path. No, you are only conscious of the ability of your body. And if you're conscious of the ability of your body, you would use your body effectively to what you can actually do with it. Now, what I'm saying deeper than that is that you start with a practice and the practice can take you deeper into other things, which is when you begin to continuously do certain breath work, you can also continue by asking a question. Trust me, the source of your life, we may say, oh, the source of your life is from this and from that, but we cannot deny that the only thing that makes us alive is our breath. That's no debate. And if breath is the powerful thing, why not we take enough of the breath that is possible for us to take within our body? Have enough oxygen. You cannot have enough oxygen in your body and you feel stressed. So when you have enough oxygen within yourself, the next thing you can do is to begin to breathe again and begin to ask yourself about whatever is going on in your life and what you want to be conscious and aware of. And when you begin to do this, it begins to drive you into a different path. Some people will tell you part of their mindfulness and meditation practice is to walk around nature and the rest of it. Yes, these things actually work. Those are meditative practice and mindfulness. Those are not spirituality. Spirituality is that you get yourself, your consciousness to a level that you already start noticing that it is, you might have this vessel of your body, but you belong to everything in the world. Now, it is an experience you would have, and then you might forget the experience. You go back into it because you are asking the question and you step out. Because of the flaws of the flesh, you would always fall in and dive out, fall in and dive out, and all of that. You're going to make mistake falling in and falling out. But it gets to a point where your memory begins to work and you know that you are part of everything. And the moment your conscious part of your body can realize that I am part of everything, no one has to teach you love your neighbor. Nobody has to teach you thou shalt not kill. Nobody has to teach you thou shalt not fornicate. because then you would really understand what karma is. With that being said, what I'm saying in an essence is that everyone who has been stressed during this week should learn to dive into their spiritual path by meditating, dive into their spiritual path by being mindful. And one of the things I would even tell you is you can also apply the power of visualization. Sometimes, one of the reasons why we get so stressed up in life is when we can't see beyond where we find ourselves. If you find yourself in the police station, some people would look at it like my life is ended. I will be in this police station for a very long time. Most people don't see themselves coming out of the police station. Perhaps they find themselves there. They even forget that from police station you would even go to jail. It is funny and ironic when we can't see beyond where we find ourselves. And the idea of all this is so that we can see beyond where we find ourselves. And when you can see the positive light with the power of visualization, that regardless of how tough this time is, I see myself and how I can come out of it into a better version. That is the power of visualization. Seeing yourself in a better place, going through this particular hardship and finding yourself in a better place. If you can keep doing that, you would, it might, it might happen like it's not possible. But I will tell you, I've tried prayers, I've tried visualization, and trust me, I'm not saying prayers don't work. Trust me. I'm just saying it is all levels to consciousness. If you are in the prayer level, there's a mind frame that works with the prayer level. If you're on the spiritual part or if you're mindfulness, there's a different mentality around all these things. If you're on the meditative practice, there's the same thing. And if you're on the spiritual path, there's the same thing. All I'm saying is this. Look at every stress you have been through this whole week and ask yourself, is this just an experience in my life? Or is this a trouble in my life? If you can't do the breath work, do a little bit of mindfulness to ask yourself, 10 years ago, what was the struggle of my life? 9 years ago, what was the struggle of my life? 6 years ago, the struggle of my life with the one 10 years ago are different. 4 years ago, the struggle of my life with 5 years ago are different. 2 years ago, the struggle of my 4 years ago were different. This struggle that I'm going through would not last long. It's just an experience. The question is, what are your visualization to where you want to find yourself? Sometimes you surrender to life, but sometimes you have to be conscious of where you want life to take you to. There are times in your life you have no control over a situation. And like someone would rightfully say, they say you cannot beat the river into submission. You have to surrender to its currents. The idea is this: there are situations that are beyond your control, but what you can control is how you can visualize yourself coming out of the situation, because you've already found yourself in the situation. The situation is just an experience for your life. With that being said, I think I've been able to convince you and not to confuse you that you need to broaden your mindfulness and relieve yourself of any stress that you're going through. Anything you call stress is what you attach yourself to. Detach. This idea of spirituality is to detach yourself from the physical reality. Not to be delusional. Not to say that what I'm going through does not exist. No. But detaching yourself from the situation, acknowledging the experience that it exists, but detaching yourself and understanding that you exist beyond the situation. With that being said, I hope you guys will be meditating. Meditation can be through the music you listen to, just calm yourself. and understand that every struggle you have gone through this week, you only experience the struggle. The struggle is not part of you. In few months, few moments, few days, tomorrow, these things can change. In fact, a lot of people are no more in certain struggles, but they hold themselves to certain struggles in the past. Some people call it trauma. In a nutshell, so I wouldn't take off your time. Tomorrow we are going to be having much discussion. Is there any question? If there's any question, please ask as I round up for today. I'm giving about 1 minute for any question, whatever you're thinking. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe. I didn't even tell people, if you haven't subscribed, you should subscribe. Subscribe to the channel so we can always have this deeper conversation. Have we gone deep? We didn't go deep, but we can always discuss on something better. Any question? We have about 30 seconds to go. If you have any question, just say hi and then write your question so I understand that you have something you want to ask. We have 20 seconds to go. We have 10 seconds to go. All right, then. No question is coming in. By tomorrow, by God's grace, Sunday morning, I will be disclosing certain things. I wouldn't even tell you, but by tomorrow, we are going to be having deeper conversation. And in the evening also, hopefully, someone will be joining me. No one but the enlightened one. I've been experiencing this brother. We speak on many levels when we are on live. I believe he's not mostly on live today. Um, but we always have great conversation. I promise if he's available tomorrow, I hope he will. It's going to definitely be an interesting conversation. So sleep well, everyone. Alisa Bond, thank you very much for engaging. Valerie Quintero has gone. I appreciate everyone. Point Fire, thank you very much, everyone, for joining me today. Hope to see you tomorrow. Have a blessed day. Have a happy weekend. Bye bye for now. Peace.